My buddy Sid Rosenberg is, kind of the baby doc of WABC. Is that a good way to put it, Sid?
I like that. Okay. Good Shabbos. Happy Friday night, my friend Mark Levin. I love you. How are you?
You too, my brother. I want to ask you a big sports guy before we get into this other stuff. Your Knicks beat my Sixers, but my Sixers weren't going anywhere, and ultimately your Knicks probably aren't going anywhere either. Who's going to win? One of the Mark dumb questions.
No, it's not a dumb question. And look, the Knicks are having a great season. And they were the number 2 seed. They beat the Sixers. Yeah. They are good enough to beat Indiana. But it does look like, Mark, the Celtics are the prohibitive favorite to win the East. Now, they're waiting on the winner of Cleveland-Orlando to find out who they play next. And the Cavaliers have a chance to wrap up that series tonight in 6. So, assuming it's Boston-Cleveland, they'll probably get Knicks-Boston in the Eastern Conference Championships. And that is a bit much for the Knicks. You see, Jim Dolan right now in New York is the king. Both of his tenants at Madison Square Garden are in the second round of the playoffs. The Knicks taking on Indiana, and the Rangers in the NHL taking on Carolina.
I just can ask you about them.
Yeah, the Knicks are not better than Boston, but even with teams like Carolina, Boston, Toronto, or Florida, the Rangers are the best team in the Eastern Conference.
They can win it all, though, couldn't they?
They can win it all. The Rangers can win the Stanley Cup. Most wins in the league this year, most points in the league this year, and they disposed of Washington in 4. They swept them. So, interesting. Knicks, Pacers, second round. Rangers, Hurricanes, second round. The lights are on, Mark Levin, at Madison Square Garden.
New York's having a good time, Sid.
Yeah.
It's been a while. By the way, how are your Yankees looking?
Well, I'm a Met fan, to be honest.
But you're a Met fan. I'm shocked, but that's okay. But how are the Yankees looking?
You know, the Yankees were looking okay, but there's one team, Mark, inside that division that most people think are better than the Yankees. It's not Toronto. It's not Boston. It's not Tampa Bay. It's Baltimore.
Baltimore is great.
They're great, and they just took 3 out of 4 from the Yankees over the last 4 days. So not a good sign that the one team the Yankees were worried about, the Baltimore Orioles, took 3 out of 4. Now the Yankees take on the Tigers this weekend. But the 3 losses to Baltimore make Yankee fans nervous.
By the way, Baltimore turned it around in 1 or 2 years. It's amazing. They were in the tank, and now all of a sudden they are a good team. And I'm going to tell you something, Sid. My family and I went to that Camden Yards about a month ago, and we watched them. They're fun to watch. That stadium is a lot of fun. It's really a lot of fun to watch baseball in Baltimore. I got to be honest with you.
No, it is. And they're a young baseball team, too. They're very, very young. And they're very, very good. Now, the problem with Camden Yards is, much like Yankee Stadium, when you go inside Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, Mark, it's majestic. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's historical. Yeah. If you get lost a couple of blocks, you're in big trouble. Same thing with Camden Yards. You get lost for 2 blocks, you're dead.
As long as they have hot dogs, I don't care. I'll survive. Sid, my brother, I want to ask you some questions here. It looks like Biden's bringing some Palestinians in from Gaza. It's as if this guy looks at every reason to try and destroy America, the citizenship in America, to undermine our country, open borders, on and on and on. Have you ever seen insanity like this before?
I haven't. And I turned 57 2 weeks ago. And I thought Jimmy Carter was far and away the worst president of my lifetime. I wasn't around during the Civil War. I can't speak on that president. But this guy has gone so past Jimmy Carter. And look, there are still people, Mark. There are still people, Democrats, liberals, my own relatives, who tell me Joe Biden is pro-Israel. Listen, he's been doing business with Iran in 2 administrations. He stabs Bibi Netanyahu in the back at every opportunity. He wants to bring Palestinians who nobody else wants. Egypt doesn't want him. Jordan doesn't want him. Nobody wants him. You know why, Mark? Because in a recent poll, 74% of Palestinians actually liked what Hamas did on October the 7th. In another recent poll, 90% of Hamas, we find out, votes for Hamas every single time. Nobody wants these people. Only Joe Biden. You know why? Because he wants to destroy America, and he couldn't care less about the Jewish people.
And yet you have relatives. I know people, Democrats. I was at an event. My wife was there speaking. Alan West was there in Florida about anti-Semitism and the Holocaust. And my wife brought up the fact that Joe Biden is like the most anti-Israel president in our lifetimes. And a group of about 530 of them got up and walked out. And then they started reporting the organization to the college and wanted them thrown out. What's wrong with these people? Are they nuts? I think they're nuts.
Well, it's twofold. They are nuts, and they hate Trump. You know, I'm one of those guys at this point, Mark Levin, who really believes that almost every Democrat decision is based on Donald Trump. In other words, if Donald Trump did something well, Joe Biden wants to unravel that. If people like Donald Trump, the people that don't like him hate his guts. And it's gotten to the point where everything going wrong in this country is a direct shot at President Trump. I really believe that's the case. We talked about Trump derangement syndrome for years. Mark, it's real. It's a cancer. It's eating up this country. Look what Joe Biden's done with the border. That man, Donald Trump, had that border locked down for 4 years. 4 years. I did a morning show with Bernard, God rest his soul. I never mentioned the word migrant once. Not once in New York City. I can't get past a show these days without saying illegals 4 or 5 times. It's all about Trump. If Trump did it well, Biden wants to unravel it, including Israel.
By the way, who would you like to see, or which candidates would you like to see as potential running mates for Trump? Have you thought about that?
Well, the story that just came out, I don't buy because, you know,
I agree with
Marco Rubio, that ain't happening. He lives in
That's
Florida.
not happening.
Right. He lives in Florida. It's not happening. So I know the names that came out yesterday were Rubio and Burgum and Tim Scott. I'd like to see Ron DeSantis and what happened. He's in Florida, but give me Elise Stefanik. I can live with that.
Yeah, she's good. Elise Stefanik? I agree with that. I'm here with brother Sid Rosenberg, who is a dear, dear friend. I think we've become extremely close, actually. And he's the heavy-duty man at WABC, the biggest talk station in America, and for good reason. He's really great. Sid, I want to play you something, and then I want to get your reaction, okay?
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Cut 13. Go.
What do you say to those who say, I don't like the guy, but I'm going to vote for him? What's your message to them?
I don't understand it. I don't think they understand how dangerous it will be if he ever, God forbid, becomes president. I don't think they really understand. And historically, from what I see, even in Nazi Germany, they had it with Hitler. They don't take him serious. He looks like a clown, acts like a clown. Mussolini, same thing. These guys, I don't know why, they look like clowns. They somehow, people, that element of society identifies in some ways with them, but it would be chaos beyond our imagination. There's no mystery about him. He's right out front, and what he says is what it'll be if he becomes president.
Isn't this guy a sick bastard who never shuts his big pie hole?
Yeah, you just said it perfectly. He's a sick bastard. He's stupid. Don't get me wrong. I loved Taxi. I loved Goodfellas, and I loved Casino. And when he's
a good actor.
He's a good actor.
But he's a lousy human being.
You know, I'll tell you something, Mark. Last Monday, I went to Columbia, and I was there first, the day of Passover. And I was there with a couple of really good House Republicans, Anthony D'Esposito out of Long Island, Mike Lawler out of Rockland County, a Nassau County executive by the name of Bruce Blakeman, and an actor named Michael Rappaport. And Mike used to say the same things De Niro said. Now, Mike, on my own show a couple of days ago, I said, Mike, is Donald Trump a possibility? He said, Sid, 100%. He has said horrible things about Donald Trump in the past. But he sees what's going on in New York. He sees what's going on in Los Angeles. He's a proud Jew like you and I. He's been back to Israel 6 times since October the 7th. And all of a sudden, for a guy like Michael Rappaport, Donald Trump is a real possibility, if not a probability. For a moron like Bobby De Niro, who cares?
The guy's a psycho. Honest to God, he's a psycho. You know, you see that movie Cape Fear? I hated that movie. I just had heart surgery. My wife takes me. I said, she wants to see a movie. I go, what the hell is this? What the hell? This movie? I'm going to have another heart attack. Well, he seems like he's never actually come out of that role. I mean, to say stuff like this about comparing him to Hitler when he's the biggest friend Israel's ever had in the Oval Office. I mean, you have to be pretty psychotic, pretty demented, don't you?
Psychotic and stupid. And, I want to go back to the Columbia statement for a second because I know that people around the country, a couple of days ago, Mark, wanted to give the mayor here, Eric Adams, some credit. He said all the right things.
Yeah, you got mad at me because I basically said I like what he said. Don't do that! Anyway, go ahead.
Don't do that. And I'll tell you why you shouldn't do that, Mark, because let me ask you this.
I'm not a fan of his. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, I know you're not. But for folks out there that want to give him the benefit of the doubt after what he said, first of all, I was there at Columbia. It was a day of Passover. You know what Eric Adams was? In Miami. He was nowhere near the university. But let me ask you this.
Maybe he was celebrating Passover in Miami. You never know. Anyway,
let's swap out.
That's your old stomping ground, isn't it? Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. Yes.
Yes. I used to live in Boca Raton for 16 years.
Nice
but
place.
Let's swap out for a second, if you will, Mark Levin,
Yeah.
these pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian scumbags. Let's swap them out, okay? They're off the campus, and tomorrow it's the Ku Klux Klan. And the Ku Klux Klan is on the lawn at Columbia University saying they're going to kill all the blacks. Do you think that Eric Adams would have waited 13 days for the university to call him? No way. So that's my point. Don't give me that nonsense. If it was blacks they wanted to kill, if it was gays they wanted to kill, Eric Adams would have been there in 15 minutes. But because it was Jews, he waited 13 days. So who gives a rat's ass what he said 2 days ago?
That's very true. You miss Bernie, don't you? I miss Bernie a lot. Don't you miss Bernie?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I miss him almost more off the air because we were so friendly. We would come in early in the morning, Mark, and if I had an issue at home or when my father died, for example, I didn't handle that well. I still don't handle it well. He was there for me for so many life moments. So he was a great partner, and he was a talented guy, and the show did very well. But to be honest, I miss him almost more off the air because he was what we call in Jewish a gittin shimmer. That means a good soul. He was a good man. So I miss him on the air. I miss him off the air. We lost a really good person. We really did.
And we love you, buddy. We really do. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Relax a little bit. Monday will be here before you know it.
Yeah, I get to watch the Rangers on Sunday. But let me just say this on the way out, that if you would have said to me a year ago, Mark Levin wanted to be on his radio show, I would have said, you are nuts. So I just want you to know this as you go for your weekend with your two great TV shows on Fox News tomorrow and Sunday, that when you bring me on, for me, it is the ultimate honor. I love you so much. Thank you so much.
You're very kind, brother. You're very kind, and we got to bring you on more. You take care of yourself, Sid. God bless you, brother.
You too. Thank you, Mark. You're the best. You're the best.
You too.